All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody so everybody can join in. Get that tweeted out there. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good. Well, I hope everybody's having had a great trading day today. Let's take a look and see where we're at. Gosh, can you believe it's already Wednesday, September 18th, 2019? Amazing stuff, right? So Fed day today. That was interesting. Before we get started, real quick, just want to remind everybody everything we're about to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. Just learning here, just kind of going through, looking at some charts. So this is what we got. So basically, the SPX is, the monthly is still green. We finished up a point today. Pretty amazing after today's range, right? Pretty crazy range happened today. But basically, finished up a point, right? We're about where we were last time there was a Fed rate cut, right? Futures right now are kind of flattish, so we'll see how that continues overnight. Normally the last time I saw like a really, kind of bullish move or even bearish move, after the Fed, I saw a lot of follow through after hours, and we really didn't see that today. So that is pretty interesting. The week right now is still an inside week. Today kind of gave it a little bit of range, so 29-point range so far on the inside weeks, forming an inside hammer, also Harami. So we'll see where that gets us. Possibly could be building up momentum to push to all-time highs. Daily chart also formed a hammer today. Really interesting stuff, right? So we pushed down. We had this inside day, had a really narrow range day, right? So from contraction, right, comes expansion, right? And so we got a little bit of expansion here so far, but now we're seeing sort of this kind of hammer day. So like the last time, we essentially broke down, right? And so this time we didn't break down. We started to break down. We came back up. So the market kind of pulled a little tricky today, right? So actually, right now, sort of the market is kind of looking like this big cup and handle right now. So we'll see when we get to the all-time highs to see how far it'll get. Hopefully everything is coming through okay. Okay, good. All right, so that's basically what we see here. So here's a look at the 5-minute chart. This is a list of levels that our subscribers get, before the market opens, of course. Just kind of different levels you can see where we test each day. I mean, it's just so funny. We look at these charts, and if you don't see these levels, it's like, what's really going on? But once you can see it, you can kind of understand that once a level breaks down, right, what's the next probable space is the next level to be tested, right? And so it really helps focus and kind of hone in on these things. So you can see this morning, I mean, not surprisingly, we had a lot of chop kind of into the Fed, right? A little bit of a down move and then a spike up, right? So it just kind of stayed at this same level here, right? This S1 level, short-term volumetric level, right? And then, right, we came right into the cloud, right? Little doji right here. Quick spike up, quick spike down, really crazy bar right here. And finally, we had this inside bar on the 5-minute chart, and then that was the one that flushed to the downside. It was a pretty good move. I mean, it's a 10-point move. I mean, I've seen more, bigger moves on, less important, less significant days, right? And then what happened? We got to the S3 and we could not break down, right? The next level down there is the S1 on the weekly chart or on the weekly time frame. So, chop, right? And then finally, inside bar, down, hammer, and then basically up. So from there, so big move there on the S&P. Big, that range there was 2982, 3006. So that was a little bit more significant, right? So it was 25 points off of that. So good stuff there. So let's take a look and see where we're at on the daily chart. So we have the our geometric levels right here. We've got our pitchfork. We have our channel, right? Couple action reaction lines. And basically what we're seeing here is that the market is kind of working its way back up still, right? We're over the support zone here, and we're getting the way up to the top of the channel. Nice little hammer day. So it looks like it is kind of building up some strength here. So I wouldn't be horribly surprised if over the next week or so, we tagged maybe 3050, 3053-ish, right? And then started working our way back down again, maybe fill some of these gaps, maybe test the pitchfork median line, try a little bit lower, that type of thing, and then kind of see where we go from there. So it's really interesting stuff, right? So we're basically 2 rate cuts and we're at the same level, right? So it's kind of not seeing a lot of momentum behind that anymore. So it'd actually be kind of interesting if we chop for the next couple days too, right? So basically that's where we're at in the market. So good stuff. So today, we a lot of times when we talk about things, and it's really important, right, as traders to be able to go back and look at moves, and just kind of analyze it and see like, okay, there was a move right there. How could I have caught that, right? Or what is it that that I was missing on that, right? Or, why didn't I catch that move, right? So that's really important for us, because we're always learning, we're always trying to find new things. So that I definitely suggest doing that. It's very important. It's a I always suggest having a trade journal, and with a trade journal, right, we can write. Not only do we write down our trades, but there's a couple things we could do, right? So like when we take a trade, let's say, let's go to the 5-minute chart here. Let's say I want to short here off of that inside bar. So what I would do is, if I could, real quick, just hit print screen right there and just kind of save when I was entering what I saw before it happened, right? And then wait till the trade is over. And let's say I exited here off of that hammer, so I'm taking another screenshot, so you can kind of go back and review the trade, and then you can kind of look holistically what happened, and then you can go back. We can go back and look and see, go back and trade, or go back and analyze and see how we could have caught these trades, right? So that's kind of the idea with that. So Facebook is a great one. Facebook is one we had a nice swing on that yesterday, and it was a good move. We caught this at the end of the day before the big run up at the end, so that was nice. And then it gave a little bit of choppiness into the open this morning. It gave kind of an exit really quick at the open on a spike up, and then here. So we caught this kind of move up here, gave a nice little spike up there, and then it came back, right? And so when we see stuff like that, we need to really ask ourselves, okay, so how much farther down can this go, right? Because if you look around in the market, right, you can kind of see all sorts of other stuff happening. So if we go to Roku, right, Roku is just getting like decimated today. Amazon, right, just getting crushed, right? Apple was holding up, so that was good. So Apple held up pretty well. But you kind of scan around and okay, Nvidia is getting crushed, right? All the FANG stocks, right? Everything's getting crushed right here. It's like, okay, so you look at Facebook and you're like, all right, well, is it going to get crushed too? Well, what was kind of one of the differences between everything yesterday, right? So yesterday, right, Netflix, kind of got a little bit weak at the close, right? There's obviously some volume into the close and all that stuff, but it wasn't really strong into the close comparatively. Nvidia obviously, had an upper shadow there at the end, right here. Apple, little upper shadow right there, but had, kind of rising volume, right? Amazon, right? Amazon was pretty strong yesterday into the close. Roku, right? It was kind of choppy into the close yesterday, right? So not really a lot of action there. Facebook though, look at that. This huge run up yesterday, so on some volume. So the question is, right, is it going to run straight forever? Well, it did. It gave a nice little push at the open, right? So that's a good place to take profits, right? But how far is the pullback going to be? Well, I mean, obviously there's a couple of things we could do, right? We could throw a Fibonacci on here. Just kind of check, right? So from the low to the high, of this run up, right? Where did it pull back to? It pulled about 50%, as low as 61.8%, right? So that's one thing to look at to see, like, okay, well, when is this pullback done, right? So kind of at those levels right there. So we could see right at the 50% range, right? Kind of held a little bit and went back up. So let's take a look at some other tools and clues to kind of gear us into it. These are things that you can kind of look at as well, right? Just to kind of see. So maybe 1, 2, 3 type thing, working that type of stuff, right? So another cool tool that we could take a look at here is if we go back to the 15-minute chart like we did yesterday. We can kind of zone in and see what else happened, right? Because the 15-minute chart does give us a little bit more time to enter into trades, right? A lot of folks like to trade, especially when they get started, they like to trade the 1-minute time frame, the 3-minute time frame, stuff like that. But it goes really fast, right? You find yourself getting stopped out a lot more. So the key thing is to kind of zone in on a time frame that that we get comfortable with, where we're not getting stopped out as much, and we can kind of control our trades a little bit better. So the 15 is a great one to look at, and that's why we enjoy trading it, with the 15 orb. And some other tools that we use. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go to studies. I'm going to add a couple of those studies back in. So I'm going to add the 15 orb levels. We'll put that back in here. That should be defaulted okay. Yeah, so that's good. So what that did is define the first 15-minute bar, right? Your 15 orb is right here. Here's your high, here's your low. So that is the opening range high, that is the opening range low. So these are key levels, right? Throughout the day, and we talk about those all the time. Okay, the next one we'll do is just throwing the inside bars in there too, so it's easy to kind of focus in on those. Okay, then we have the cloud up here too. So in addition to using Fibonacci, right, and just kind of seeing where the pullback was, one of the things we like to do to look at is for reversals. Is we like to look at for these kind of inside bars, and we talked about that yesterday, right? What did we do? Yesterday we talked about pulling up 2 indicators to kind of help us with that. So the first one was the fast stochastic, right, and the second one was the CCI. Okay. And that was great for kind of showing that kind of oscillator move type thing, and looking for a dip. And look at that, lo and behold, look what we had here. We had a nice dip here, nice cross here on this, right? Basically off of a hammer and then back up, right? So we had a nice possible buy right here just based on using those tools. But it wasn't as effective right here, right? And why was that? Because we had such a big run up, right? And we have a big run up like that, we're not going to see it, not necessarily a huge drop in this. So it makes it really difficult to evaluate and be like, okay, well, what are we bouncing off? See how kind of sloppy is it? This is very clear. We got to oversold levels right after the Fed, and we saw a nice bounce up. Okay. So, what do? What's the next thing we do? Well, we look, there's other tools that we have. Now, a couple months ago, we did a lot of work on RSI, and we talked about, some different tools that we could use with that. So I'm gonna pull that up for you today and show you one thing we can do, which is helpful with the RSI. And it's a little bit of a trick that we can use, okay? So RSI is defaulted at 70/30, right? Okay? And so what this did is it showed here, based on the RSI, it shows that we were overbought here, and we kind of broke in this range. So it's like, do we short, and how far do we short, right? Well, not necessarily, right? Because we had a really strong move up here on increasing volume, right? And it shows there's some buying power going on, right? So maybe this is just a little bit of pullback off of that initial move, and then we can catch the rest of it right here. So what can we do? What can we do to do that? So there's another setting that we can do with the RSI, and we talked about this previously, is we could just set it to the 60/40 RSI. Okay, this is a very nice little tool that a lot of professional traders use, and it works on all sorts of different time frames, but really effective on this one. And why? And what happened? Because we came down to a key level, right? So we had the 15 orb, had this crazy move at the open, right? Highs and lows and all that stuff, and then we put in another low here, but it was holding. See this bottom shadow? It held this 15 orb low really nicely, right? And then we had the inside bar. So what is another clue that could show whether this inside bar is going to do anything, right? That was kind of the theme of this week. What was the theme yesterday? That we're going to get a move, right? Off of Roku, right? So what this is showing here, this is a bullish move, right? We had a big bullish move, right? We've been talking about that for a while. So how do we know that this bullish move is not over? Well, if we switch to the 60/40 RSI, it kind of changes your perspective, right? Because normally the 70/30 would be like, okay, it's bearish, it's going to go back down, right? But what happens is here is it redefines your overbought and your oversold levels, and we've talked about using these as support and resistance, right, in the past, right? So we had this big bullish move up, and so we got into basically, bullish territory up here. If you kind of look at it like that, instead of overbought, we're in bullish territory, right? So as long as it stays above these levels, this is very strong, as long as it holds the 60, right? So let's take a look. So on this pullback, what did it do? All it did is pull back to the 60 RSI, right? It gave us an inside bar, and then it pulled down just a little bit there, and then started to curl back up here as we held the 15 orb. So all it did is just tell you that, okay, this is still bullish, right? And so that is a good place to have an entry right there. And then we see it moved all the way back up to retest, because price likes to test levels. That's what it likes to do, right? And sometimes it goes inside when it can't decide what it's doing yet, and then it decides to break out levels and test other levels, right? So that's really what happened. So here, if we look at the let's look at the 187.5s on Facebook, for option traders amongst us, right, which most of us are, 1909 20 calls, and look at the 187.5s at 10 o'clock and just kind of see what those did. Okay, so very similar. They had a nice confluence on this here. Obviously, the RSI is slightly different on this because of the skew between options and all that. But here is your 10-minute bar as we go over through this level. So $1.50, basically entry here. And then, really honestly, trailing bar by bar, never would have gotten stopped out on this thing, right? So there's your entry there, $1.50, kind of pushed up again to $1.80, so nice 30-cent move. Moving stops, trailing, all the way up to $2, right? From a nice $1.50 move, $2.12. So 50-cent move, especially midweek on Facebook, is a good move, and then could have taken it all the way up here for a full point. So Facebook actually did give a nice re-entry here. It was actually quite tradable today, even with the Fed, right? And so the real clue into everything today was using another tool that we don't often look at, but is something that we can use, is the 60/40 RSI, which is really nice level. That it held here because this is a bullish move. We stayed in bullish territory, right? A lot of people think overbought means like, oh no, it's time to go back down. All it's saying here is that we're remaining bullish. So pretty cool little thing, pretty cool little tactic to look at there, especially on a big move up. This is just saying, like, is the move over yet? And this clearly is saying is that it held the 60 level, that it was not over yet. So good stuff. I hope you guys find that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can. Try to wrap up by 10:30 so we can get a good night's sleep for another day. Awesome trading day tomorrow. So good stuff. Real quick, I have an email in from Shirley, so let me just get those translated over here too for us real quick. 1 second. All right, she's got a few in here, so I'm just going to do Shirley. If you're listening, I'm just going to pick like 5 of these. So we'll do AFL, AMAT, ATO, CDW, and we'll skip ATDO, and we'll do CDW, ZTO, and AABA. Remember, AABA is just Yahoo, right? Same thing as Baba. Okay, so we have that. So let me put those in the chat screen. So there's one set that's from Shirley, who will eventually we'll eventually get a new Yahoo account or a new YouTube account, so she can join in with us. All right, let's take a look here. So let me clear a couple of these things out. All right, so good stuff. All right, Dustin, what's going on? Oh, jumping right in it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Excel. Let's take a look. EXEL. Okay, yeah. Exelexis. Cool. Let's take a look at this and just kind of see what we got here. So we have this trend line down here. Okay, so we're starting to break out here. So what I want to see is a clear close over over this high right here. So if we can see a nice strong closing candle over 1959, right, then we can possibly see a swing up there into the cloud. Okay, so something to look at. BBBY. Bed Bath and Beyond. I think they had some news today, but they didn't hold up very well today. So let's just take a look at a couple of what we're seeing here. So right now it's actually holding this kind of broader trend line. Okay, if we look here, just kind of see what else it's been doing. So we did have a close basically here below that minor pivot low, which brought us back to this trend line. So at this point, it's still holding a couple key levels. It's got our trend line. You can see this thin line right here is a macro pitchfork that we worked on a long time ago from over here. So it's still at that key level. So it's holding trend line, it's holding cloud, and it's holding that level. So I'm not saying necessarily it's the time to go long because it is breaking down a little bit here, but it is holding trend. So if we can get above this, right, and we might be able to see a cloud break, then we could it could possibly get kind of interesting going forward. So something to look at there. Yeti. Let's take a look. Yeah, Yeti, we looked at this yesterday. So it was holding the trend pretty well yesterday. Today it broke down and it gave us a minor pivot. Okay, so if it breaks down below there, that's something to take a look at, right? So I like that. So let me actually add that one to the game plan for tomorrow. 1 second. 1 second. Just gonna type this in back here real quick. Okay. And Yeti. Okay. Got it. Cool. Next, let's take a look. FTCH. Yeah, just be careful with this one, right? We talked about this already with this channel, right? So it got back into the channel yesterday, but it rejected it again today. And so, really, really weak after this big gap down. It's, having a little bit of trouble. So again, it needs to close over this high right here. This basically needs to have a nice strong close over 1050 at some point for it to possibly work on a reversal. And then PCG. Yeah, it's starting to do pretty good. This was the first kind of minor pivot low, and we closed above it today on increasing volume. So it might give a pop up to test this trend line here at like 1388. So far, so good on that. Good stuff. Harvey, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Max, how's it going? Good evening. And ladies, Paul, good evening. Mike, what's up? Peace. MTN, what's going on? What's more reliable? Heikin Ashi or default candles for setting orbs and anchors? So the Heikin Ashi, let's take a look at it here. Let's pull it up, guys. So let's just go to the 15-minute chart and just kind of take a look. And let's go to chart styles here, candle. Let's go to the Heikin Ashi, right? So this is really cool. The only thing I don't like about the Heikin Ashi, excuse me, the Heikin Ashi, right, is that it shows like kind of these bars that were red originally, like right, it shows bars that were red originally as a potentially bullish, right? Which is cool. It just takes some getting used to, right? So this bar here was red, but it's showing that it was green here, right? So it kind of, I like to know where the bars open and where they closed. So it's a good one to look at. But I actually really prefer this candle trend, which was introduced by one of our members. Showed it to me because it shows that if it's hollow, then it's bullish. If it's solid, then it's basically bearish, right? And so I find this to be a really, really powerful tool. So definitely take a look at using that candle trend. It's what we use in the group, right? So definitely something to look at. And then for orbs and anchors, just because it focuses you on it, the Heikin Nashi is it's kind of like a trend type style, right? You know, like a trend following type tool. But it isn't. It does. You can get used to it and can start to focus on it too. But I like that the candle trend. Dustin, what site am I using? Meaning like what software is this for all the charting? It's Thinkorswim. So it's provided by. It comes free if you have a TD Ameritrade account. And by the way, you can get it. You don't have to put any money in a TD Ameritrade to get it, right? You just have to open an account with them basically, and you can get it. So TD Ameritrade, kind of expensive commissions. You can negotiate, but if you get deals with commissions somewhere else, you could just use this to chart and then trade with whatever you like, right? So session, what's going on? How could we have caught Beyond today? Okay, so let's take a look at Beyond. So. All right, let's look at the daily chart first. All right, so first of all, off the daily chart. So this is basically the previous trend line that we had here, right? We had our minor pivot that we had, and we closed above it. So this is a potential swing. And again, my target was 160, and we hit that today. Okay, so after that, you basically kind of look here to the high, and you see this, and once we break down the trend line, right, we can start to see, possibly take a little bearish here. But anyway, let's kind of zoom in here a little bit and take a look at the 5-minute chart and just kind of see what happened here. Okay, so obviously there's key levels that can be held, but you can kind of see here this that trend line level is kind of holding up right here. So what we had is, obviously we had a bearish opening bar, right? So that kind of, is a shot across the bow there, right? We stayed inside that level, and once we got through that level, which actually defined its 15 orb level too, right? If we go back to the 15, right? We can see that 15 orb level was originally defined, right? And then that's your key level right there, right? So I'm not saying, short necessarily at one of these places, but once we break down a level, sometimes those levels like to get retested, right? And so what happened is we broke down the level, right? So a lot of folks, they like to trade breakouts and breakdowns and just expect it's going to go straight down, right? That doesn't always happen, right? In fact, it happens, less often. A lot of times we like to see these retests kind of come back. So just focusing on the 15-minute chart, right? We see the breakdown right here, we retest it, and then what happens here, right? We break down, right? Here's your inside bar, and that's the breakdown bar. And actually, you can kind of see here, the RSI was actually pretty helpful with this here, right? The 60/40, okay? So initially, right, things were working up and all that stuff, and we started to break down. So what that means is we lost bullish behavior once we dropped through the 60. Now we're kind of in the chop zone, right, in the middle area. Once we got to the low of the 15 orb, the lower of the 40 also got tested here, right? And then once we stayed below, that showed that we were in bearish territory, which really corresponded well with the 15 orb, right? Then we came back up. We also have the 15 cloud here too, so we tested the cloud and it rejected the cloud. So one more test. This is actually perfect. It's like the inverse of what we were talking about earlier, right? So it came back up and tested the 40 and failed off of the inside bar and then came back in. Let's go back to Facebook one more time and just take a look. I mean, this is the exact same method, just the opposite, right? We were bullish, we came back, we tested the bottom of the level, held the 60, and came back up. With Beyond, right, we broke down, tested the top of it, right, tested the top of the 40, and then back down. So it was really that inside bar which was the key, right, the breakdown through there. That was it. Other than that, just kind of the bearish behavior initially, that it was kind of working its way down to the bottom of that 15 orb level, right? So if you go to the 5, if we throw the 15 orb up in here, we can kind of show what it looks like on the smaller time frame, right? So let's pull that up there real quick. Okay, so there's your same 15 orb, right? Now you can kind of see how bearish it really was. Right, so it got to the top of the orb and rejected it, tested, broke down, essentially tested that trend line level, even though sometimes it's not accurate from one time frame to the other. Came back up, retested the level. That was your inside zone, right? There's your breakdown level right there, just like that. Just the inverse of what we just talked about with Facebook. So good stuff. Diz. Let's see how Diz is doing. Diz is a mess. Inside day, I do like the hammer, increase volume, hammer over the inside day, so that is good. We do have some cloud to work with here. We've got this kind of minor pivot level right here. So assuming you can get through the cloud and close above this, it might start to get kind of bullish again. But right now, it's, it got slightly beat up too by the by the Facebook, streaming news. So these are getting affected, but it turns out Disney seems to be holding up a little bit better each time, right? So at least a little better than Netflix. So it finished pretty strong today. So that's good. Let's take a look at Lulu. So Lulu's getting there, guys. I mean, you know how I feel about trading Lulu, but we have this upward trend line right here, minor pivot right here. So if we could start to close below that level, right, we might see a drop in Lulu. Okay. Other than that, it's got to get back above the trend line. And then cost got a little beat down after hours today. I don't know if anybody saw that. Look at that big drop after hours. Apparently got a downgrade after hours. So you had this big push down, like right when the market's closed. It's like, oh, right, everything's great. I'm recovering. Everything's good. And then flush. Right? Not cool. But let's take a look here. Costco, they're not really showing the downgrade here, but somebody had talked to me about this earlier and said there was a downgrade. So definitely look into that and see. But some really nasty news there. But it's reclaimed about half the range. So it's okay. But we'll see if it gets any follow through tomorrow. It's really frustrating because what are we talking about recently? Yeah, something that Roku did today, or Shop is doing, right? Put in a fresh low for us so we can move this trend line over. That was the goal. Fresh low, move the trend line over, give us an earnings run on Costco. But maybe this downgrade will be the start of that. So let's definitely keep an eye on Costco. Try to remind me of that tomorrow at the close, if you can. Okay, cool. Shirley's got some good stuff here, so let's take a look. So we got AFL. Aflac. Really, really good stuff, guys. So a couple things with this. Anytime you see these big falls, right, you just got to get your trend lines up there, right? So with the major trend line right here, we had a minor pivot here, couldn't close over it, minor pivot here, finally closed over it, so it's starting to look bullish, surely. Only problem is that the cloud resistance right there, so it's got a really tight target on it right now, right? But if you kind of go down here and just watch the previous run up, here's your low, there's your level, right? Needed a bullish close over one of these levels. This one right here would have been good, and they got to move up off of it. So that was great. Nice move of Aflac. A lot of these insurance companies are doing really, really well. AMAT. We got a member who's just crushing it on it, which is great. AMAT. It's doing good. Nice high today. Holding up well. So holding trend, bullish until proven otherwise. CDW. Be careful with this one, Shirley. It had a big gap up today, which is nice. Anybody know why this thing gapped up today? Oh, it's going to join the S&P 500. Well, there you go. That tends to work. Okay, so it gapped up today. The only problem is it was red, Shirley. It was a red day today. So it got over a lot of key levels, but it wasn't like a huge gap and go. So just be careful. I've seen some of these new additions to the indexes. They get this big move and then they kind of drop after that. So just be careful. And this one does like to chop around. So I just be careful with CDW. ZTO. Express. Wow, big bullish moved, big candle today. Yeah, look for some follow through on that. I mean, obviously it's bullish here. It had nice earnings, right? Kind of holding right there. Okay. So yeah, as long as it holds that trend, it's bullish till proven otherwise. And AABA, which is like which is BABA basically. So lot of choppiness in here. Surely I wouldn't mess with that. I think wasn't there like some sort of weird. I wouldn't mess with this one at all, Shirley. I don't like seeing that chop. But BABA, though, on the other hand, right, is starting to look pretty bullish. It needs to get over a couple of these key pivot levels, but it could start to get working again. So it held up well today, even when the market was down. Dimitri, what's going on? Harvey, SPX and BA, absolutely. So SPX, as you know, we went through all the time frames. So let's kind of just zoom in right here. So what we have here, we broke out of this trend line here, set a minor pivot, big bullish bar, close. But here we are here. High, low, here, high, mid. Right, so here's your, kind of your pivot breakdown level. We tried to flush below it today, but couldn't do it. So for the most part, that does give it kind of a bullish overtone, right? And if you recall from the newsletter this weekend, right, we're also seeing a possible wave 5, kind of working right now, right? So we had this kind of impulsive move up here. I don't know if we're going to see that pullback, but it seems like it's working to the top of that channel. And then BA. BA's been really strong, guys. Really, really holding up nicely. I know there's a lot of levels here. I apologize about that. But we had a bull flag yesterday. We had the bull flag breakout, which is good. And it held up really, really well today. So it's still holding trend nicely. I mean, even trying to put a bump on this thing is like here, right to here. So it's holding that trend well, too. So it's starting to work its way up into its gap, right? Right, it starts to get up here, right? This 391 type level. So it's very, very strong right now. Incredible moves on it. So good stuff. Good, good, good. James, what's happening? Busy few weeks. Yeah, I know, man. Glad you were able to tune in. Appreciate it. Thoughts on CTL? Let's take a look. Yeah, always appreciate everybody, jumping in, even if you haven't been here for a while. It's great. Yeah, so CTL had a really good move, guys. I mean, we looked at this recently, right? So we had this, this huge, downward trend line, right? In fact, let me adjust it just a little bit here. Seems to, let me grab those levels. Okay. So there we go. So now we have these minor pivots. When we finally close green above it, look what happens. Da, 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 da. A lot of fun time. So there we go. So we get that nice move up there off of CTL right out of the cloud, which is beautiful. So it's holding up pretty well, right? So it's coming back down, testing some levels. So we could, possibly look and see what it's up to. Let's see. So here we have this. It's starting to break down a little bit. I would say if it closes red below today's lows, get out of the way, right? Or look to short back to the cloud, or we'll see if we can get back up into its trend line there. Good stuff. Albert, what's happening? Microsoft POF after market. Yeah, they're buying back some shares. Some folks asked about it today. At the close. Let me see here. Where's our channel? There. Okay, so nice cloud. Nice cloud. Holding this green channel like really, really well, right? So every time it comes back to it, right, it seems to get a little bit of bounce, a little bounce, a little bounce. Got out of the cloud there. Touched it right here again today. Closed strong, right? And then after hours, they say they're buying back more shares and all that stuff, giving more value to their investors. And there we go, up after hours. So nice to see Microsoft pushing up. That could lead the market up a little bit tomorrow, which would be pretty amazing. So yeah, yep. I mean, it's above 140 here, right? So let's see. I mean, we go back to the daily. What? Sorry, my broadcaster likes to. Oh no! What have I done? I hit a button. I did something wrong here. Oh no! I don't know what I've done. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I've got this XSplit broadcaster and it thinks I'm like streaming a game or something like that. Sorry, forgive all this stuff as it comes back. All right, there it is. All right, so back to where was the daily? Where did I have that? Here we go. Yeah. So I mean, it's looking strong. Bounce off the cloud. So a close over tomorrow. If we close over this day's high, I mean, it might start to work its way back up to the top of the channel again. So, big highs right here. That 141.68. If you get over that, it'd be super, super strong. All right, good. Sorry for all that nonsense there a second ago. All right, let's take a look. Good stuff. Yeah, so yeah, if we could close above that, we could try to get to those all-time highs there. No problem, MTN. My pleasure. SY Jacobs, what's going on? Thoughts on TrendSpider software? I mean, yeah, it's good. I did a show with him the other day. Was a guest on it. I think it's pretty good, right? It has some really cool tools. Honestly, like to me, I think those the raindrop charts are just so impressive, right? Because I love trading, using the VWAP on certain time frames, and just the fact that it incorporates it into the candle itself, gives a new perspective on it. So, it's up to it's not a trading platform yet, so it looks like they're going to be working on it. But yeah, overall pretty good. Yeah, let's take a look. So we got Okta. Getting there. Not quite ready yet. Let me remove these price levels right here, right, real quick. So Okta's getting there, right? If we can get a nice bullish close over this this pivot, right, we might see a little bit of a pop in it. So it's getting there. Ulta. We talked about this one a little bit last night. It's just tough. Any of these big gappers down, it's hard to really trade those like a regular kind of trend line, right? So it's every time it puts in a low, it's really, really hard to say because that's a lot of selling resistance right up there. So with this one, I'm not really messing with it. If anything, I would look for a potential shorting opportunity. If we got a little bit of a spike, and then maybe we could see a nice reversal off of that to the downside. Team. Yeah, team's looking really good here. It was a nice move. We had your lows right there. Had a strong close. Yeah, strong here today. It could work its way up to the top of the cloud because of the way it closed over this minor pivot here. So even here was like, I wouldn't trade off of that. So that's basically it. So possibly a move up there, maybe over the next couple days to that 140. If it wants to. So yeah, good stuff. TTD. Let's take a look. Not ready yet. Not ready yet. It's got this broader trend line down. Here's a kind of minor pivot right here. That is something to kind of keep an eye on. I'm going to add it to our lotto. Let's just kind of look at it to see if it gives us anything. But it's starting to look interesting. A little inverted bump and run. It doesn't look ready yet. Not saying short it, but I want to see it close above these minor pivots. Good stuff. CS ready. What's going on? ZM. Let's take a look. I know. Nice moves. Nice doji. Possible doji sandwich in the works. Right. There's your lowish right there. It's just is so tough right now. Like I wish this would just put it like Costco would just put in a nice little low right there, so we can draw a trend line from here right to there, and then give us kind of our style, like a nice breakout right there. But it doesn't seem to be behaving quite in that way. They had actually really good earnings. I'm not surprised to see it moving back up. Right, it was consolidated period for a while. Big move down, consolidating a little bit. Seems to be working its way back up right here. A little bit of a topping tail, but it could be a doji sandwich and work its way back up. So, if this thing, try to look for setups intraday. It was great. We were trading it great in this range right here when it was actually moving. But then once it started getting really choppy in here, it was really, really tough to trade. And then AYX. Oh yeah. Look at that. So this is great. So this is just a great example, very similar to Shop, right? Here's your ascending channel, right, which is basically your impulsive move. We broke out of that, right? So this could be possibly your wave, your A down, right? So 1, maybe 2, 3, 4. It might have a little bit farther to go down off of this. And then from there, right, we'll look for a trend line break, but then it could work its way up for a wave B up, and then another sharp move down for wave C. So it's kind of really looking like a zigzag right now off of an impulsive wave. So that would be your wave 4 down, and then a possible move there. I mean, we can kind of go back here. So that wave 4 would retrace ultimately 61.8% from the lows. So it is possible. Very, very interesting. Albert, what's going on? No problem. Let's take a look at McDonald's. Yeah, we looked at that today, right? So we were close on this. It just didn't close bullish for us. Yeah, it didn't close over this level. So it's forming a nice minor pivot right here. So I just took from this high here to this low and then connected it with that line here, so we're not intersecting. So now we're starting to see a breakout of this trend line, right? As you can see, I already have an alert on it. Right, McDonald's too broke out of this channel, so we could be seeing also a zigzag here, but I'm cool trading the ABC up, right? So just need a nice bullish close over here, then we might be able to see it get back up to that 215 level before it works its way back down again. So that's the trend line on that. Yep. Thomas, what's happening? Roku. Yeah, it's possible. There's another gap below. There's multiple gaps below if it wants to fill it, right? It hasn't even touched the cloud yet, right? So based on our swing methodology, right, we could have taken here. Oh dear. Let me clear this off real quick. Because we talked about the bear flag yesterday. We talked about the reversal on it and all that. So one method here is to start it. Oh goodness, we grabbed the trend line here to the high connection, right? So no matter how you sliced it and diced it, this was a breakdown level right here from last week. So this was a possible signal short. Would have had to deal with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of pain, but it would have all paid off today on this move down. Nice measure move off the bear flag. So the question is there room to go? There certainly is, right? We've got the cloud of support. We have a closing gap here. Okay, that's where that closed. So we could test that 125.32 level. Then we've got the opening gap entry. We've got the cloud. So it could definitely move possibly down to this 120, 118 level. Then we'll see how it holds the gap. We got a nice cloud here. We got nice gap support potentially, right? If we can hold that gap, then it could start looking nice. And what I really like about Roku is this. Is that when it does set up for us, it's given us a beautiful trend line to use to find that breakout point. So it's got a couple days, unless it has this huge, awesome day tomorrow. It looks like it might give a couple days for us to potentially look for an entry on it. I'd love to see it work its way down here to the cloud, and then give us a minor entry, and then I get a cloud break with it too, and just watch it rip. That'd be so cool. Anyway. Good stuff. Max, what's going on? Netflix, McDonald's at trend line resistance. Yeah. So Netflix, was really, really tricky. The only reason I didn't, everybody was so bullish. That's one of the reasons I didn't swing it. But everybody's so bullish on Netflix. It's like when everybody's bullish on something, chances are it's probably not gonna do it, right? So it had a nice close over this level right here. The only thing that kept me out of it yesterday from swinging long was this decreasing volume. Look how it steps down every day. Even as it's getting green, it's losing volume. And so today, no surprise, right? It pushed back down, right? That's kind of the idea there. So it's getting there. And then McDonald's, yeah, same thing. McDonald's getting close. McDonald's could give us a little pop there, 315, or that 215 if it confirms. ZS, nice one. A lot of people have been asking about this. Getting there. Too tight. The low was right here off the gap, right? So it gave a nice move that next day. Now it's started to close above it actually. So, but we don't have a trend line to deal with. So let's just kind of wait a couple days and see how it handles this longer term trend line right here. Okay. If we can get over that, give us a pivot, then I love it. I love it up to the cloud. Let's do it. Good stuff. No problem. See us ready. My pleasure. Thomas, my pleasure. All right, guys, great stuff. We covered some really cool stuff, guys. Main thing to hone in on there is on that 15-minute time frame, and even other time frames. Is just check out your RSI. You can still use your techniques for overbought and oversold with the 70 and the 30, but sometimes that 60-40 is really helpful, right? You can see you're in the bullish zone or in the bearish zone, right? And as long as it holds those levels, right, then it's it's bearish or bullish, right? So it's really, really good stuff. All right, guys. Really appreciate everybody's support. If you're new here, definitely subscribe to us on YouTube. Also, check out our links in the description. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And enjoy the rest of your evening.